And we are live with the PHU Dynasty podcast. Once again, episode 7 this time around. And today we're going to be talking about the Swallows. I won't say the first one, just so I don't want to get flagged on YouTube. So I'll leave the city off, but it's the Swallows. And we have a very, very special guest today here on the podcast. We have a man of the people, the Kentucky Elk GM and CEO, Senator Dustin Gilchrist is with us today. Dustin, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. My voice isn't quite made for radio like you guys, but I'll do my best.
See, I got a face for radio, so that's why I try to keep myself out of the limelight on these. So,
okay,
I was better in the audio format. So,
gotcha.
So now we're talking about a team that is always in the mix, always discussing things, and honestly, your rival, Dustin. What do you want to start off this podcast saying to your rival?
He is my rival, but I respect him.
Oh my God, this is not what I wanted.
Forth over the year. I mean, I don't have too much smack talk, but once we get into some of his players, I might have some more negativity to say.
Okay, that's what I like to hear. We're here for the negativity. That's what these podcasts are really all about. Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about some of his draft picks here from last season. He had a very interesting draft. I would say the biggest hit would probably be his 3rd round pick from this past draft. Chase Claypool. I mean, that was an absolute steal. I want to say 304. This is all the prep that I've done here. I'm looking it up now. Clearly no prep being done on this podcast, but yeah, Chase Claypool, a huge hit in the 3rd round. And what looks to be, I would argue he's looking like a wide receiver 2 for years to come. The only downside is Juju Smith-Schuster deciding to re-sign with the Steelers kind of caps his value, at least this year. Sean, Dustin, what do you guys think about Chase Claypool?
Big breakout. I mean, he's already got a nickname. It's Mapletron.
Mapletron, yeah.
Great nickname.
Yeah, I mean, he's an absolute stud. The Steelers kind of sputtered there at the end of the year, so that would worry me a little bit going forward. But, I mean, his talent is undeniable. So I remember when he came in, there was some talk he might be eligible for tight end. That would have been an absolute steal, but I guess that didn't happen.
Yeah, because he was, I want to say he came out at 6'4", 230, which is, you're talking Kelvin Benjamin range and weight there. So
exactly.
The difference is that he's considerably faster and more athletic.
In our Dynasty League, Kelvin Benjamin's better than David Johnson. So
according to Alex Morales, he said that Kelvin Benjamin would have more points than David Johnson career-wise in the back of what I believe was an Uber coming back from Soho back in the day while I was 13 screwdrivers deep or something like that. But I'll never forget that. That will stand the test of time. So yeah, Chase Claypool, huge hit for him. 2nd round, he picked Michael Pittman from the Indianapolis Colts. Michael Pittman Jr., I should say, because us Buck fans know the original Michael Pittman.
Yeah.
Wait, can we backtrack a little bit to Claypool? Didn't he just beat the shit out of a guy in a bar?
Yeah, we didn't really talk about that. He apparently got in some sort of bar fight. I don't know if there's any legality issues with that, but
Have you guys seen the video of that?
Was there a video?
I haven't.
There was a video that leaked out about it.
If there is a video, I didn't see it, but I'd like to see it. Because that's not a guy I'd want to get punched by.
I thought I heard that, the other guy started it, which would help his case.
Yeah.
But, I haven't looked into it.
Bill loves suspending people, so potentially.
True.
That's true.
You never know.
I got to tell you, the Steelers, from a character-wise perspective, I guess, that wide receiver room has all kinds of shit going on. Because at one point, it was like Antonio Brown. Now it's Juju Smith-Schuster. And then apparently now it's Chase Claypool. What has Deontay Johnson done? What's
Yeah.
There's got to be something.
Not catch the ball?
Yeah, just dropping passes. Yeah. That would work, yeah. Michael Pittman, he had a, okay rookie season. He's huge. Once again, he's a 6'4", 211, AJ Green body type kind of guy.
That bodes well with him with Wentz. Wentz likes big body receivers.
Yeah, I think, and he can separate too. I liked Pittman coming out. I just wonder, how long it's going to take to gel, and if maybe the fact that he's got to deal with another new quarterback, does that stunt Pittman's development What do you think about that, Dustin?
Yeah, I think it could. And I mean, it's like, is Carson Wentz really the long-term answer? I mean, if he gets back to his pre-injury form, it's certainly possible. But, but I mean, as far as the second-round pick goes, you can't really argue with it, I guess.
No, for a second, I mean, it was
Depth
2-4.
player.
He's not expecting him to be a big hit right out the gate.
Yeah.
And let's go to arguably his most important pick for this season is Cam Akers, first round, 4th overall. Looked really, really good towards the end of last year. Loved him coming out. Just a matter of if he was going to get the usage, and then whenever he got the usage, was he going to keep that workhorse role? And it definitely looks like he's going to have that role heading into next season. It's looking like he's going to be pretty much a shoe-in for at least a RB2. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think he can be borderline RB1 if he keeps that workload up.
Yeah, he catches passes. He's going to be on the field a lot. I think, yeah, he could. I mean, like in a redraft league, like what about like regular league? Do you think he goes like the back end of 1 maybe?
I think he's more back end 2 right now.
Yeah, I'd probably say 2. You're probably going to take some receivers over him. So,
yeah,
maybe like the 10th running back off the board or something.
Yeah, like where would you like for next season? Here's a good question, and this is a personal question to Sean. Jonathan Taylor, Cam Akers for next season. How far apart are they?
For redraft? Well, yeah, you're saying next
just
season.
for next season, yeah. Just because we both know they're pretty good moving forward.
I don't know. It's hard to ask me. I'm biased. I would still pick Jonathan Taylor over him, but
I'm thinking I'm kind of leaning at Akers nowadays because Marlon Mack got re-signed too, and then they got to split with Naheem Hines.
I mean,
I just don't see anybody really contending.
Name a running back that's come back from torn Achilles and has been productive.
I think that's like a big fat 0, maybe.
I mean, Hines did look really good, though. He's going to get a lot of passing downward.
I mean, the thing, they seem to like sign or like draft a running back like every year in Los Angeles.
Oh yeah, like it's first it was Darrell Henderson. Everybody's like, oh my god, Darrell Henderson, and then that like literally burned out so fast. Like that was a short-wicked candle, and that was gone. Okay, so that was the review of the rookie draft from last year. I think you got 3 really solid picks there: Akers, Pittman, Chase Claypool, DJ Dallas. Not really gonna even. He's a 4th round pick. Who cares? Great solid draft there. So we can go right into the team review. We're gonna start off with the quarterbacks. Everybody loves a good QB, and I think this is a pretty damn good room. I mean, I don't think there's one young stud on here that everybody, fawns over, but all 3 of these quarterbacks over 30, but all really solid. Aaron Rodgers obviously had a huge resurgence back to his top 5 ways last season. I mean, do you see any reason that Rodgers is not a top 5, 6 quarterback this year?
If he's traded, maybe.
Look at Dustin bringing up the hypotheticals onto this podcast. Love it.
I mean, weren't they trying to do something with his contract? And what was the deal with that? He didn't want to do it?
I don't know if I read anything about the contract. Sean, do you have any more insight on that?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
I mean, if the Packers run him out of town, they might be the worst. They might be worse than the Texans. Like, how do you run out Aaron Rodgers? Like,
yeah, that's true. I guess you believe in Jordan Love. I don't know.
I mean, they better believe in Jordan Love because they freaking invested a first in him, which is still one of the worst picks. He's actually still a free agent in our league. Like, just because I don't see him playing until at least 2 or 3 years. Like, it's not even worth the roster spot right now.
Yeah, sorry, that's my dog. It's too long of I'm going to close my door, but it's too long of a hold for him because you don't know how long it's going to take. But, I mean, if it was a super flex league, he'd definitely be rostered.
For sure.
Can't believe he's not on Alex.
Yeah, considering that he's basically like a 1st round pick and Alex has absolutely no options. Like, all it takes is one injury and he's in. So you never know. So, I mean, we all know where Rodgers is at this point in his career. He's probably got 3 solid years left, I'd say, and you're pretty happy with that. Tannehill, huge resurgence with the Titans in recent years. He's a rock solid backup for this team. He could definitely start
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he could definitely start for most teams.
He finished QB8 last year in our league.
Oh, QB8, and
Really?
Alec,
Wow.
this is a guy like I could see this team trading a quarterback to a quarterback needy team. What do you guys think about that prospect for
I
Vince?
mean, he's got the depth. It's just a matter of who's a buyer? Like, who's going to buy it?
Yeah.
What value are you going to get for it? Like, you got Rodgers was finished second, Tannehill was 8th, and Kirk Cousins was actually QB 11 last year. So he's got 3 top
That's crazy.
quarterbacks on his roster.
I mean,
and continue that trend.
It just, like you said, I think it's just a consideration of who the buyer is going to be. I mean, obviously, we know the teams that we've kind of actually done podcasts on teams that need quarterbacks already.
Yeah.
But if you're one of those teams that has, especially this kind of depth, like what would you take right now if you had Ryan Tannehill and you were trading him? Like what draft capital compensation would you be looking for?
I mean, he's a QB1 he's still under 30, right?
I think he might just be at 30 or 31. He came as an old rookie, so I think he's a 24-year-old rookie. I'll look it up real quick while you're.
He still had legs. He ran for 7 touchdowns last year.
Ryan Tannehill. People always forget that he was a receiver at Texas A&M.
I mean,
he was ridiculous.
In this league, it's they don't have value though. I mean, maybe
exactly.
Like if somebody threw you like a 2nd-round pick for Ryan Tannehill, would you take it?
Oh, I would take it definitely. Because I mean, there's going to be 4 or 5 quarterbacks in the actual NFL draft this year, and I mean, they may not even all get taken in 4 rounds in our league.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. If I'm Vince, and by the way, he's 32, Ryan Tannehill. If I'm Vince, like you could trade like a second, for Tannehill or something like that. I mean, assuming somebody would give you a second, and then you could just turn around and draft one this year. Right. With like a 3rd or a 4th, and you still have Kirk Cousins. Like that's a pretty nice return on investment, in my opinion. Like
get somebody back in when Rodgers retires.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it's just free draft capital in the 2nd round, and in a year, I think the 2nd round of our rookie draft is gonna be really solid this year too. So
those quarterbacks are gonna go around there. So
yeah, I think all the quarterbacks are gonna basically go in the top 5 of the NFL draft. It seems like so you might as well. Get your picks in the 2nd and 3rd round if you have them, if you need a quarterback. So yeah, I mean, this is a pretty damn good room here. I mean, Kirk Cousins, I'm not going to talk about him too much. We kind of know what he is at this point. It's like a fringe 1-2. Like I think you said 11, Sean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like he's fringe 1-2. He's thrown to some damn good receivers.
Oh yeah.
And he's got Dalvin Cook out of the backfield. He's fine as a backup. Doesn't really even need him as a 3rd stringer. I'm going to give this room an A. I mean, the depth's there. Nobody's like super young and exciting, but this is a solid ass quarterback room. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, the floor is probably better than anybody else's quarterback room in the league. Like what you're going to get out of everybody.
Yeah, that's true. I think outside of this game too.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'd probably go an A-. I mean, the only knock is just the lack of young upside, but I mean, he can easily take care of that in this draft. He didn't even need to do it this draft. He could do it next draft. I mean, he's got time, so there's not really too much to argue with here for these guys.
All right. So we got some A's around here, and we're just going to move it right along to the running back room, which everybody loves talking about running backs because it's all about that shelf life, baby. So right off the top, we kind of talked about Akers a little bit. So let's start with Miles Sanders here. Sanders, I mean, Sean, you're the resident Eagles fan here. I'll let you start off with Miles Sanders. How about that?
I think he was he was so poorly utilized last year, and he was still productive. Like he would pop these like 70-yard touchdowns like every other game, and that's what kept him fantasy relevant. But I had it up earlier. I was looking at it, and I could not believe where's he at? Where's this guy at? Do you guys want to take a guess on how many catches he had last year?
Miles Sanders?
Yep.
How many catches? I'll put him at like 24.
Dustin?
I was going to say 30, but that might be high.
You guys are really good at this game. I mean, it's 28.
Oh, shit.
Under
you told me he was
200
underutilized, so I just went with that.
Yeah. under 200 yards receiving last year for a guy that's I would assume all of us think is like a 3-down like back workhorse. Back,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's unacceptable.
Yeah, absolutely.
No receiving touchdowns either last year. That's
Well,
just
That just shows you how incompetent Doug Peterson was, because like you got a quarterback that's struggling so bad, like Wentz was struggling. What's the best way to get a quarterback some confidence? You give him some short passes and screen passes and just dump offs and shit. And they just did not do that. I mean, they were just flinging it
Yeah.
downfield and giving Wentz basically no chance. So, I mean, I can't say anything bad about Sanders as a player. He's a great player. It's just a matter of how he's going to get utilized. And I can't imagine it gets any worse than last year. So, I mean, would you say that this is a top 10 running back for next year, or RB1 in our league?
mhm.
I'm
RB1?
probably low end RB1, but
I would-
it depend on the utilization.
I would put him in the same camp as Cam Akers and like that, like in there for like this year. Like
Yeah.
maybe low end 1, but definitely like RB2. Okay.
Right.
I mean, and that's great in Dynasty, honestly, to have two, borderline ones. I mean, that's
Hmm.
that's not a bad thing. And both of these guys are really young. I think
Oh, yeah.
Sanders can't be older than 25, right? Like he's 23.
23, yeah.
Yeah.
It's only
So,
his third year this year.
Yep.
He was I remember he was a really young rookie too. So I think he was a
Mhm.
That
21-year-old rookie.
helps.
Because actually,
He's the
here's the-
same age as Najee Harris.
I was gonna say he's the same. He's actually younger. Which
Really?
is
That's
unreal.
crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I'm pretty sure Najee Harris is gonna be 24 at the start of the season. So that's
Wow.
like completely wild.
That
So the
is.
third guy on this list isn't even on a team right now, I don't believe, James Conner. Last time I checked, he wasn't on a team. So
He's still hurt though. I think
he's probably hurt wherever he's at.
it's crazy.
That has there been a bigger fall in value in the last like year, basically? Because like James Conner in the last like 2 years was just a massive like, oh, like look at this, we got this young back, 23 years old, Le'Veon Bell, we don't need you anymore. And then now it's like, okay, now James Conner is almost completely useless.
I can answer that question. It's his teammate. It's Juju.
That's true. He tanked his value pretty hard. Juju was supposed to be a dynasty like wide receiver 2, like the overall 2.
Yeah, he was getting like in
Yeah.
startup leagues. He was like wide receiver 1, wasn't he? After that year,
He was
One
at
or
least
two.
in the second round of startup leagues.
Yeah.
That's crazy,
insane.
man.
Insane.
And,
That is
and now
crazy.
he's like if you get a wide receiver 2 out of him, season out of him this year, I'd be so happy, like be thrilled. It's so wild.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, James Conner. I mean, he's not even on a team, and it sucks for Vince too, because Vince probably really banked on him as a
Hmm.
staple of his roster. I mean, I think I even tried to make trade discussions with him a while back. Like this is before he even really broke out. And he's like, "Oh yeah, this is, kind of a staple of my young future." And I'm like, I don't know about that. And here we are. So
Yeah.
and we'll move right on with James Conner. I don't think. I mean, until we
He
know
would
what team he's
hope
on.
he would. I would assume Vince would hope he stays in Pittsburgh. I can't imagine. I mean, because there's not much depth there, so
Oh God, no! Don't.
that's an ideal situation.
I mean, does he? Even if he goes back to Pittsburgh, I gotta imagine they're gonna draft a guy. So then you're looking at like some sort of
True.
timeshare.
Guys,
True.
Pittsburgh just picked up Kalen Balazs. I don't.
They did just pick up
Oh,
Kalen
did
Ballage,
they?
the Bellagio himself.
Yeah.
Now, what's the best possible situation for Connor to go to right now?
Seattle.
They signed Carson back though.
Yeah.
Like Atlanta to fight with Mike Davis for carries? Like, is that about
Yeah, that might not be a bad one.
Miami maybe? Like,
Yeah.
I just don't see like
Yeah,
the
there's
point
not a perfect situation.
Yeah, the point I'm getting at here is I don't know if you can even use Connor really as a flex player even this year. Like he might just be kind of like a bye week filler. What'd you say, Sean?
Vegas. They
I mean,
love
dude,
them. They hate offensive
That would
linemen.
not surprise me whatsoever.
Nope, not at all. That's a Gruden grinder if you've ever seen one. Tell you what.
I think he's a solid back. Like he'd be a great backup. I
Yeah.
just don't. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know where he goes that gives him any sort of real value this year.
Yeah,
Um,
Pittsburgh might be as good as it gets.
I mean, at least they
Right, if they
know how
draft
to utilize
someone,
them.
who knows? Exactly. Yeah.
So Ronald Jones, I mean, this is. Are you guys ready to call Ronald Jones a bust? Because I am.
What?
I
I
think
was
Ronald Jones
after
is a
his
bust.
rookie year, but I mean, he looked good last year running the ball. He just,
He looks
know,
good,
I
but he
wish-
got picked at 1.2, Dustin.
well, yeah, okay, yeah. I guess I forgot that he was picked that high. Yeah, he wasn't worth 1.2.
I mean,
Hold.
he was a bust at the time in my eyes. Like not a bust, but like just a reach. Like I think that was
Yeah.
the Nick Chubb draft, the Saquon draft.
Oh yeah, much rather have Chubb or
Was it Chubb and Saquon?
obviously Saquon.
Who else was in that draft? There was a bunch of other good backs in that draft, but like I think that was like Kerryon Johnson, even though he sucks now. Like there was a bunch of running backs. Rashad Penny was in that draft, another bust.
Yeah.
Like that one looked good off the top, and then none of them are good except for like Chubb at this point. But yeah, 1.2 for Ronald Jones. I like him as a running back, but he doesn't catch the ball whatsoever. He
Yeah.
doesn't block whatsoever. So he's
Exactly.
basically a first and second down running back that gets half the carries. So
And
it's
we
like
and the Bucks already got a first and second down with re-signing Fournette.
yeah, that's what like you.
So
And
what's
last
up,
year I
so-
owned Jones in redraft, and it was the most miserable experience because like he'd have like a couple games like I benched him the game that he had that 98-yard touchdown run, and it hurt my
Oh.
soul. My soul was crushed, and I never want to draft him again. So like that's it. I'm done. I'm a little biased.
I will say, like non-fantasy wise, his rookie year he went from his yards per carry was under 2.
Oh yeah, that rookie year was unbelievable.
You know
How
what his yards per carry was last year?
Probably like 4.5.
4?
5.
Oh, was it up to 5? Wow.
Maybe give this guy more carries, man.
Yeah, he's explosive running the ball. It's just the catching and pass protection is just
That's
not.
what we call the Tom Brady effect.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I mean, if it's weird though because like you said, the Bucks kind of have two very similar backs as far as like what their skill set is. Like
Yeah.
Jones is more explosive, and Leonard's more of a physical guy. But then like neither of them can really play in the passing game. Like Leonard can play a little
Yeah.
better. So like if the Bucks draft a running back this year, which is what it seems like they're gonna do,
Mm-hmm.
like then you got and don't even, you can't forget about Keyshawn Vaughn. I mean, as a rookie, could be better next year.
True.
I mean, that could be like a 4-way backfield somehow, and
Yeah.
I don't know how that looks for Ronald Jones. I mean, I'm almost ready to call him a bust. I mean, like, I just can't see how he returns any sort of value for 1.2.
Yeah, I don't think so. Just Brady likes to throw to the back so much. So if they bring in a rookie, or if Keyshawn can catch the ball better, then he would get more playing time. I mean, Keyshawn Vaughn looked great in pass protection for whatever that's worth.
I mean, that is worth something in Bruce Arians' offense. That's an important thing. So
especially with the 43-year-old quarterback. So
you don't want him to get touched.
Potential there. Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, we know Ronald Jones is going to be in some sort of timeshare this year. Not a ton of value to be had as far as a standalone flex player. Maybe he could be a bye week filler if he has a couple of weeks of string of 20 carries a game, maybe just on the hot hand thing that they kind of did last year. He's worth something. Next up, we got the two Dolphins running backs. You got Gaskin and Ahmed. I fully expect the Dolphins to bring in some sort of running back like through the draft. So I'm not sure either of these guys are really going to be super fantasy relevant, especially if they bring in a guy like Harris or Etienne or Javonte Williams. I think all three of those guys would dominate the touches.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. If they get one of those top 3 back value, their values drop so much. But who knows?
Both these guys are free agent pickups too for Vince, so it's not like he's sunk any cost into these guys.
Yeah.
So
Good
free agent
pickups, though.
Great
Absolutely,
pickups,
yeah.
this year. Yeah.
Then we got the Gus Bus, who at this point, after Mark Ingram leaving, looks like the pretty clear backup in Ravens land up there. So, I mean, I've always liked Gus Bus. I think he's a good running back. He just kind of keeps getting stuck behind people, and they tendered him, so he's for sure going to be back in Baltimore. Do you guys think that Gus gets enough carries to warrant any sort of like flex consideration, or is this J.K. Dobbins backfield?
No, they like all around. They'll give him touches.
Yeah, I mean, as a low end filler, but he is one of those guys. If Dobbins got hurt, he could potentially be an RB1. So
That's very
just
true.
that upside alone is huge.
High value handcuff for sure. That's something I
Exactly,
hadn't
yeah.
really considered. Is if Dobbins does go down, he's in a locked and loaded run first offense. That's pretty sweet.
Yep.
Would you like to play the game? Guess where Gus Edwards finished last year at his position?
I do like to play those games. I'm gonna say like he had a couple really solid weeks.
I think it was like 30, 20, 28, something like that.
I'd put him at like 35.
28.
Okay.
Look at Dustin. This is why we got this guy on the podcast. He just knows his dynasty.
Well, because
value.
I know it was like higher than everybody expected, but I wouldn't expect that this year if Dobbins is healthy the whole year. But
I mean, Dobbins was there all last year too, and Ingram's gone. I mean, Justice Hill's pretty much out.
Ingram was borderline worthless last year, though. Like he did nothing. Like that's a classic. Running back hits 29 and falls off the face of the earth.
yeah.
Yeah. Next up is arguably one of my favorite players in the league, just because of the memes and the shit showery that happened earlier in the year. Is Lynn Bowden, and actually Dustin Gilchrist was very involved in the Lynn Bowden.
I was.
The circus, I'm going to call it.
I drafted him in the supplemental draft, and I regret dropping him. I should have just held him, but then we wouldn't have the story. So,
can we? You know what I'm going to do real quick? Well, I'm going to look at the transaction history, because that's what I really want to see. I want to see how many times this guy's been passed around.
Oh, it's going to be good.
The hard part is he a receiver or running back? That's the hard part. I can never.
So he was picked up as a free. Ooh, hold on. Oh my god.
Isn't he eligible for both in the league?
I got this, guys. Don't worry.
Holy shit! I can't even count.
All right. So drafted by Dustin, dropped by Dustin, picked up by Dustin, dropped by Dustin, picked up by Vince, dropped by Vince, picked up by Dustin, dropped by Dustin, picked up by Dustin, dropped by Dustin, picked up by Vince. Vince picked him back up, then dropped him again. Alex picked him up and then dropped him.
Alex had to get in.
And then Vince picked him up.
I'm counting 17 total transactions.
That's amazing. Oh, but you know what's not included on that? The first ever PHU Dynasty rejected trade by the commish.
Wow.
What? I don't even remember that. What did I reject? It had to be good.
Remember? Because it was just joking around, but Alex traded like 3 first-round picks or something.
Would that even be his worst trade?
No, Kareem Hunt in a first for Henry Ruggs is still worse.
Oh, man.
So I forgot I even
pretty
did
funny
that.
history. Yeah.
I mean, you got 17 adds and drops in less than 3-4 months. Yeah, that's unbelievable.
And believe it or not, I was trying to trade for him, but he wouldn't take the bait.
After all that you tried to trade for?
Yeah. he just deserves to be on my team at this point, but Vince won't let me have him.
He's an elk through and through.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
We have the Justin emote in Discord. Can we get the Lynn Bowden anytime you wave somebody?
I might do that. I'm gonna see if I can get some sort of Lynn Bowden emoji for that. I can make that happen for. I have, by the way, for the fans of the emotes out there, I'm working on a couple other ones. I have some other emotes in the future, and they're regarding a few of our outspoken league members. So I'll just leave it at that for now.
That's
exciting.
Like a 3rd or 4th round pick and have Dustin's face on it. That'd be amazing.
I think I should just make one for every league member, just to have it in the cards. But then there are a couple other ones that are just better than the other ones. or I'll make a couple of different ones for each character, for each owner. That'd be pretty sweet.
I like it. This league always puts out the best content. I'd expect nothing less.
I'm ready for it. I'll see what I could do. I'm not going to really talk about Dallas or Hasty here at the end, although I really like Hasty as a player. I don't think he's going to do much. But what kind of grade are we giving this room? I think this is a really interesting group of running backs. I'd like to see what you guys got.
I mean, I'd probably do B-. I love the first 2, but it really drops off after that, and there's not a whole lot of guys behind them waiting in the wings. But besides Lynn Bowden.
And is he even a running back? That's the question.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
I just threw him in this list. I think he's more of a receiver. But he's if he has that eligibility for running back, that could help out.
Yeah, I think he's got eligibility for both. So
as long as Sleeper gives it to him again this year. Sean,
Yeah.
what did you give him?
Oh, big C. Big
A
C.
C?
Depth is a problem. The James Conner not panning out that's hurting.
That really does hurt.
Not that he put a lot of capital into getting him, but
yeah, I mean, if let's say Akers gets hurt this year, and then
oh yeah,
like what happens? Like it's just like I don't even know how he can put it all together. He's literally just gonna have to play like every week. Like, is Gus Edwards gonna score 20 yards on a touchdown? Like that is like
or Ronald Jones. Yeah, he's gonna do something like that.
We're gonna about to get to receivers, but I don't see a lot of weeks where Vince is gonna play more than 2 running backs.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a super heavy wide receiver flex year for him. Yeah, I'll give it like a C+ because I do like the starters. I just, like I said, I don't see any super exciting backups and or young players. I mean, luckily Vince has draft picks this year, so that could change. So we'll see how that goes.
I reserve the right to move it to a C+ if Gaskin ends up like keeping any kind of like major role.
Yeah, I mean, if Gaskin's getting 15 carries a game, then I'm not as sad. But it just really depends on who they bring in.
Yeah. If they don't get any of those top 3 running backs in Miami, that could be a completely different conversation with him having all the Miami running backs.
Did they sign anybody at this point? I don't think they did.
Not that I'm aware of. If anything, it would be a back-end roster, but
yeah, nobody's talked about it. If so, All right, let's go ahead and move over to the receivers. I really like this room. There's a lot of quality players. Like I didn't even realize how many quality players he had until I started typing all these in here. Big fan of a few of the young guys, especially Scary Terry right off the top. I mean, he's a guy that's been stuck in a terrible quarterback situation ever since he's been in the league, and he still produces every damn year. So it's hard to argue anything other than him being, a fringe wide receiver 1-2 again. I mean, to me, he reminds me a lot, not in terms of play style, but just overall like situation and production of like Allen Robinson when he first came into the league, where it's just like, holy shit, this guy's nobody to throw him the ball, but he's still putting up the numbers. This year, Ryan Fitzpatrick slinging it around.
Yeah,
I mean, this
that's a big upgrade. Yeah,
could be a great year. I mean, I'm really looking forward to Scary Terry this year.
Absolutely.
I am such a big fan of his. Take you back to, I don't remember if it was week 1 or week 2, his rookie year, him just absolutely crapping all over the Eagles secondary for a glorious 60 minutes where we just lost to a Redskins team at the time.
At the time.
And I was just like, who is this guy?
Who this guy? Yeah, he's
so good.
I mean, I didn't love him coming out of the rookie draft. Like, he just seemed like a meh kind of guy. Like, he didn't have any popping measurables or, crazy like 40 times and his tape was just okay. So like I didn't expect anything, and he just blew up out of nowhere. So awesome rookie draft pick for Vince there. Claypool, same thing. We won't really talk about him because we talked about him earlier.
Where would you guys take McLaurin in a startup? Like, what receiver?
That's an interesting question.
Like 15, maybe.
Wide receiver 15
to 20. Yeah, in a startup dynasty.
Yeah.
Probably
how old is him? I'm going to look up his age real quick. I'm curious because I thought he was an older rookie too. He's 25, so that's not bad.
Oh boy.
I mean, I don't know where I'd take him. Maybe like somewhere between 10 and 15.
Okay.
What do you?
Where would you take him?
I was thinking like 7 or 8.
Maybe I'm just lower on him.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'd have to think about it more. Yeah.
Big fan.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to watch it. Let's mark that down in our notes for the Galactic League. We're just gonna have to keep that in mind. Just Sean's looking at wide receiver 7 or so.
Round 2, where are we going? Scary Terry it is.
Scary Terry.
Let's go with the all meme team.
I mean, he's got arguably one of the best nicknames in the league. Like, actually, speaking of the nicknames, I mean, him and Claypool, Mapletron and Scary Terry, those are arguably 2 of the best right there, right off the bat.
Shocking, the king of memes has the best nickname team.
I mean, he's set. Jarvis Landry at wide receiver 3 here. I mean, I feel like from here to honestly, almost all these guys, except for the last two, maybe, are all in wide receiver 3 discussions weekly on a week-to-week basis. I mean, Landry, we know what he is. I think at this point, I don't think anybody's going to argue that he's anything more than just kind of a steady Eddie, more or less a PPR kind of guy. Getting his 60, 70 yards a game, maybe sprinkling a couple touchdowns over here and there. So, I mean, a really solid player, just always underrated every year. But he's also not going to pop any real crazy weeks. So, good wide receiver 3. What do you guys think about Debo going into next year? If they pick up a good rookie quarterback, what do you think?
I mean,
it all depends on the quarterback.
Yeah, from what it sounds like, they like Mac Jones.
That's crazy to me, but
it's pretty.
He would be NFL ready, supposedly.
Yeah.
What if I told you guys I really like Mac Jones?
I'm a fan.
That wouldn't surprise me. You like those pocket passers that are slow.
He ran a 4.79 today. He ran a 4.79 today.
I mean, it's pretty.
That's actually not bad. Yeah.
All those receivers at Bama all said they prefer him to Tua, which is, I don't know if they're just trying to get his draft stock up.
Yeah. That's exactly what they're doing.
Well, and receivers don't usually like lefty quarterbacks.
True.
That got something to do with it, but
I don't like lefty quarterbacks, but here I am. So
anyway, taking it back to Debo. Debo was a brilliant rookie, man. He had such a good.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, he was just injured a lot last year too.
Yeah.
I mean,
him, Kittle, and Ayuk all at the same time. That offense is pretty terrifying.
Yeah, I mean that's a run first offense, at its core, but all those guys just eat on play action, and especially Kittle, but Debo and Ayuk. I don't find too many differences in their game. They're both kind of good at the same thing. I just wonder who's going to eat on a week-to-week basis, and that's like the only thing that like knocks me off of Debo and Ayuk a little bit. So we'll just have to see. But like once again, like probably a wide receiver 3-ish kind of guy.
I feel that just knowing Shanahan, he uses everybody so well. I feel like he's going to have an idea of how to like just utilize them like pretty well.
I think it's just gonna be like a game plan thing. Like, just if there's one week that like they're playing a team that's really good against tight ends, they'll probably just use Debo and Ayuk more. And then the next week, if there's better corners, they'll probably just use Kittle more. It's just gonna be, it's almost like a Belichickian type of system where it's all matchup dependent. So
do they have a field stretcher on that team?
I mean,
had Godwin.
Ayuk ran like a 4.3, so I mean he could do it. But
him and Debo are more like get it like shallow and like make play, like make a man miss.
Oh yeah, they're like running backs basically.
Yeah. Is there anybody that will actually like stretch the field, like make the safeties kind of commit?
They had Kendrick Bourne last year, but he signed with the Patriots. So I don't know if they have anybody like maybe Richie James, that little guy.
Yeah.
Like just
Trent Taylor.
Trent Taylor. I believed in Trent Taylor for one off season. I really did.
Well, they were hyping him up a couple years ago, but then he got injured in preseason.
Yeah, River Craycraft, do you remember him?
What?
His name is River Craycraft.
Really?
Is it better or worse than God's gift?
I mean, I like River, but he's just like a little white guy, and his name River. How can you argue with that? Everybody loves Rivers. Honestly, the 3 people on this podcast might love Rivers more than anybody.
Yeah,
this is true.
We saw
I
one.
love that running water.
All about the running water. I'm gonna live next to it one day. You just wait.
I know it's on your bucket list.
One day when I'm the commissioner of the NFL and not the commissioner of the PHU Dynasty podcast, that's when it's gonna happen. All right, next up we got Cooper Kupp. I love Cooper Kupp as a player. I just don't know how much I love him as like a fantasy player. He's just every week it's kind of like it's an adventure whether he's going to be the guy or if it's going to be Robert Woods that week.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of weird.
You got a new quarterback going in there too. That'll be really interesting. I'm super curious to see like what that offense looks like next year.
Yeah, like I don't know what it's going to look like, but I also think there's like really massive upside because I think Stafford's better than Goff in almost every way. So I'm intrigued. I think that whole offense is going to be really intriguing. But honestly, going back to Akers, he might catch a lot of passes too. So
yeah,
could be really interesting.
I mean, if Sean McVay and Stafford getting together, that'll be interesting. Yeah.
As long as Stafford can continue to be his Iron Man self, I'm intrigued. DJ Chark is an interesting topic because he's going to get a massive quarterback upgrade. And it's looking like as of right now, he's probably still going to be at least the 1A and 1B with Marvin Jones on the outsides. I don't see them wasting too much draft capital on receiver this year, to be honest. So they're probably looking to fix their defense. So we'll see what happens with that. But I think, like, would you guys say that he's in wide receiver 2 discussion?
Yeah, if he's actually Trevor's number 1 receiver, absolutely. Which he probably will be, but Chenault and Colin Johnson looked good times last year too, so it's kind of a deep wide receiver room.
Yeah, that team really got good at wide receiver fast. Like, I loved Colin Johnson last year. I would try to trade James for him a couple times.
I've been trying to trade him too. He won't do it. He knows, he sees the upside.
I see a lot of Alan Lazard in Colin Johnson, just a big, tall guy, not super mobile, but he makes a lot of plays. So yeah, like him, Chenault. I really like Chenault too.
I had Chark in my team in redraft last year, and the amount of times I just watched him, like, the ball sail past him or anything, was just astounding.
Dude, they had Mike Glennon for like half the year last year. It was fucking miserable, dude.
So bad.
So bad. I mean, he can't get any worse than last year, we'll put it that way. So
yeah, he got hurt at the beginning of the year too. That kind of screwed his whole season too.
Yeah, we kind of talked about Curtis Samuel on the last podcast at our free agency review, Sean. I know you love him. Tell me what you think about this outlook this year.
He's like finally a wide receiver 2, like on a team, and not just like third guy trying to find a spot. So he's actually going to have opportunity, be on the field.
I think he's going to be great.
He's going to be good. Yeah, he's dynamic too. Like, you can run him out of the backfield as well. He's obviously got that. So, I mean, he should be like, if he's not getting utilized like Debo and like Ayuk in San Francisco, then that's how he should be anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, love to see what he can do with Fitzmagic.
I think he's gonna probably end up being, a high yardage, low touchdown kind of guy. That's kind of what I'm ending up, because I feel like they have a very similar player already in Antonio Gibson.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how much production's going to be there, but like in the real life NFL, like, he's going to be awesome. I think it's a great fit. Then moving on to the next one, Darius Slayton took a huge value hit with the Golladay signing, in my opinion. Shepard, they still, for whatever reason, the Giants still love Sterling Shepard, even though he gets hurt every single year. They signed him to like a big ass contract extension last year for just no reason whatsoever. Classic Giants move. And then they have Slayton, who outplayed Shepard in almost every single game that he played, and now he's going to be demoted. So it just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. But Slayton, I don't see any increase in value from last year. What, do you guys feel like the same thing?
Yeah, the Golladay was only is it 1 year? Or he signed multi-year. Right?
Galladay's like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay, I was trying to remember what that one was. Yeah, that's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation, and I don't believe personally in Danny Dimes. So
yeah, I don't. I want to get. I think if this is his year, like, this is the shot.
Yeah.
You got all these receivers. They upgraded, well, not upgraded, but they got some talent with Kyle Rudolph, and Evan Ingram's still there for whatever it's worth there. And like, there's guys there for him to make plays, and then Barkley's coming back. So it's like, if you can't make this shit happen this year, he's going to end up in the Alex trash pile like usual. And that's going to be it. So we'll have to see with Danny Dimes. Talked about Pittman. Sammy Watkins, that's an interesting name. That's from last week. I believe he signed with the Ravens, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's, where does his value lie now?
Wouldn't it technically be a downgrade since he's leaving Mahomes?
He didn't do shit with Mahomes either.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I feel like it's literally a lateral move.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just not I mean, he'll get more targets probably. I just like he's
Yeah.
probably going to get hurt if we're being honest. I mean, I just don't see any like chance that he busts into the wide receiver 2 range. I just don't see it.
No.
I'm more concerned with him getting like Lamar Jackson to join some kind of like cult.
Oh yeah,
I-
what's he call himself? The Lizard Man or something?
Yeah, he thinks like he's like a lizard person.
Yeah.
Oh, a reptilian. I've heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's classic.
Interesting.
Yeah, I never got on the Watkins train, but I always thought he'd be better than he is. Like I just like this guy was like way too good to just not.
Yeah, great athlete.
There's just like he wouldn't surprise me if he like what he had like if he had like 1,000 yards and like 10 touchdowns. Would you either of you be like shocked?
I'd be shocked that he
Yeah.
stayed healthy for the whole season.
Right. Yeah.
But other
Right.
than that, like talent wise, he's always been able to drop 1,300 yards. Like he's that talented.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. He's such a hard player to like get behind. I don't know. He's good.
I mean,
for, like,
he's been in the league. I'm gonna look up how many years he's been in the
He
league.
would have done it by now if he could do that, I would think.
Has there ever been a player that's been 7 years in the league with as much upside as him?
Yeah, he's still upside.
He still has upside somehow. And he was drafted as a 20-year-old and he's 27 now and he still has upside. It's so weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
let me share with you his positional rank since his rookie year, right? So 2014, wide receiver 26, second year wide receiver 16, okay?
okay.
Third year wide receiver 87,
Jesus.
next year wide receiver 33, then 64, 53, and last year wide receiver 93.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
And he's never played a full season since his rookie year.
Since his rookie year.
And he's played in his games played
Yeah.
are 13, 8, 15, 10, 14, 10. So he's always banged up. He's like I feel like this guy's always questionable. Like, I
But
don't know.
still, 14 games with Mahomes, you should be better than the wide receiver 53.
Yeah. He
He
just
played 3 seasons with Kansas City and never finished higher than 53. That's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Somehow still has upside, but once again, Vince probably not really counting on him. So that's
Right. Yeah. He's a back end of the roster guy. So
um.
I'm even looking like to see if he's actually staying on the field. His snap percentage is like in the 80s. Like
So
when
he's on the field. They just like literally
really
don't throw him the ball. He doesn't get the ball.
weird.
So I
His
mean,
yards
maybe
per catch is probably pretty high, isn't it?
His what?
Yards per catch. I'm looking it up.
I just don't know how I feel still. Like I'm just not feeling excited at all. Like
Yeah. I mean,
he's been in the league 7 years and has never done it.
That's
yeah.
also consistently gone down.
Yeah, I mean, like
Yeah.
like he still technically has upside, but it's like it's a downward trend. It's so weird.
Yeah.
And he's gonna run first offense now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Unless he gets more targets, I don't know how it happens. But
Like how big is he? He's not a very like big guy. He's 6'1". I don't know. You get a wide catch radius to play with Lamar Jackson too. That's kind of a must.
I think he's like roughly the same size as Terry McLaurin.
Okay.
I think he's like 6 foot, like 6'1", 210, something like that. I mean, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But so we got 3 other guys here at the end of the list. Christian Kirk, kind of a bust. I kind of expected a lot more out of him.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's still, I guess, a chance for him to be good. I mean, this is gonna be his 4th year, I think now.
Yeah. He's still young, so
There's still a chance. They have AJ Green and Nuke on the outside, so he's pretty much the clear slot receiver this year. And Isabella, I mean, he's a bust.
yeah.
That was the same year where they drafted Isabella and Hakeem Butler, so that was not a good wide receiver draft for them. Just not excited about any of these guys. So, what kind of grade are you giving them?
I've been busting on those 2 receivers, and the team just saying, "Hey, do you want Nuke Hopkins? Here he is for free."
It's like you can have him.
Wow.
I still can't believe that happened, but I'm okay with it. I mean, get him out of Houston. Honestly, that was the greatest thing that ever happened to my dynasty team, was having Nuke get out of Houston.
I just feel so bad for every sports fan that lives in Houston. Let's get rid of all the talent in the entire city.
Like anybody that ever meant this shit in the sports, let's get rid of them all. Like, I mean, the only positive. Well, and then they're Houston. The Astros fucking cheated, so it's like what? they just got roasted in the last couple of years. I'm giving this grade a B+ because I love the depth. I just don't see one elite player.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna just stick with B+.
Yeah, I would give it probably an A-. Same thing, not an elite player, but you look at his wide receiver 3 through 5, like Deebo Samuel, DJ Shark, and Michael Pittman. Like any of those guys could eventually turn into a wide receiver 1. I mean, there's that upside. So that's what I love about it. But
yeah, that's fair to say.
Yeah,
I'm giving him an A. I really like his receivers, and obviously I'm higher on Terry McLaurin than everybody. So
yeah, so I mean, technically, as of right now, you have him ranked as pretty much elite. So
would you take McLaurin over Claypool?
With Terry McLaurin as a top 5 receiver this year.
I would take McLaurin over Claypool for sure, Dustin.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I like the situation this year better, but I don't know. Long term, I really like Claypool.
I mean, he's definitely got the more alpha like projection body type wise and stuff like that. So I can see why you say that. I've kind of like changed my tune in recent years. I used to be like all about these just
size
beasts. Like, for example, like my personal favorite bust that I had was like Devin Funchess. Like that was like my prototype for a long time. It's like, I want this guy. He's 6'5" and just doesn't do shit, but just moss people. And that's worked for me. But like in recent years, I've tried to get smarter about that, and there's definitely small receivers that can win. So
that's true.
I do see why you like Claypool better, because maybe 2 years ago I would have said the same thing. But
yeah,
I also think that there's a couple players on there that could peak at like wide receiver 1 for like this year too. Cooper Kupp's already done it. Granted, new quarterback.
It's possible with Stafford. Yeah.
I could honestly, DJ Chark can just go on a tear too. I mean, he gets quarterback play. He could do it too. And Deebo is a very strong rookie. So I mean, there's guys in there that can.
Pittman. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a ton of upside in the middle. It's not something that a lot of teams have, is this much upside. So
yeah.
It's a good look for Vince for sure. Let's go ahead and move over to the tight ends here. Hit a home run here with my former draft pick, Darren Waller. I'm still going to toot my horn on that one until the end of time, even though he's not on my team anymore. Darren Waller's fucking good. I mean, he's like exactly what you want as a fantasy tight end. I mean, he's not a blocker. He doesn't have to be. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, who cares in fantasy, right?
I mean, I've argued this for a while. I think blocking's important to fantasy or dynasty more in particular, just because he's going to have more chances to be on the field. And if you're on the field more, there's more chances to get some targets. But at the same time, when you're Waller, you're basically just a receiver anyway. So the same thing goes for guys like Mike Gesicki and even like Kittle to an extent. Like he can just basically play receiver. So like Waller, is anybody going to argue that he's not like tight end 3 in dynasty?
No.
He's pretty clear.
Would you rather have Pitts?
That's where it gets interesting, because I feel like Pitts is just a younger version of Waller.
Yeah.
I think they're very similar players.
Mm-hmm.
What about
6 years younger, but you could have the proven player of Waller. I mean, it's an interesting toss-up.
Just because I think the target share that he's going to get this year, where are you guys at on Hawkinson?
I think we talked about this on a different podcast, because I was arguing that like Hawkinson is my tight end 5. I think.
So he's like 23 or 23?
He's super young. Yeah, he's really young. He was a young rookie, and I loved Hawkinson coming out. So like I think he's like tight end 5. It just depends. Like I really have no idea what that offense is gonna look like in Detroit.
Who's playing receiver on that team?
As of right now, it's like Tyrell Williams and
Quintez Cephas.
Brother Cephas. I mean, I don't know.
He's going to be the number 1 target on that team, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right
yeah.
now, yes, for sure, he's the number one target, and especially like Goff. I don't like he didn't use tight ends all that often in Los Angeles, but they also didn't have a good one like him, really. So
Right.
I'm assuming this new coach is usually plays like 12. He usually plays 12 personnel with tight end.
Dan
Oh,
Campbell
does he?
Campbell was a tight end in the NFL. So
Yeah.
I want to believe. I'm a big Hawkinson fan.
And Waller's 30, over 30.
I don't think he's 30.
He
I'm gonna take a
I
gander.
think
Though.
he's 28. I actually looked it up earlier. I was wondering.
I mean, 28's. I mean, for tight ends, and he honestly does not have a lot of tread on his, or not a
True.
lot of wear because he didn't do shit for like 4 years.
Well, he did drugs.
True.
That's why.
He was doing something, but
Yeah, he could get another solid 4 or 5 years out of him.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Waller is people really underestimated his just overall measurable skill set. I'll tell this story to the end of time. I was watching the Shrine game practice. It was my first year at the Shrine game, and there's a 6'6" Georgia Tech wide receiver. I'm like, who the fuck is that guy? I like that guy. His name is Darren Waller, and he ran a 4.41 at the combine at 6'6". I was like, holy shit! And like nobody gave a fuck about him. And he went, he got picked in the 6th round by the Ravens, and I was like, all right, I'll take the shot on him. And he didn't do shit. And I had to cut him because he didn't do shit, and then he got his drug issues or whatever. But this dude is like literally a complete freak of nature, and I'm truly not surprised that he's as good of a receiver as he is. But the fact that they moved him to tight end and he's been this good is pretty amazing. So really, really, really good free agent pickup by Vince to catch that one before everybody else did, because having a tight end 1 through 3 at this point, not knowing how 4 and 5 look, is such a massive advantage in this league. It's huge.
Yep. Absolutely.
So yeah, I think he's like a wide receiver or tight end 3 at this point. And I mean, just depends where you think Pitts is going to end up. And Hawkinson, I would argue, is probably 5 at this point. So Jared Cook, new destination here. I believe it's the Chargers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm a little concerned about the tight end room in general outside of Waller. I mean, like Cook should be fine, right? Like he should be like 500 yards, like 6-7 touchdowns, like
that career alive, attaching himself to like a good quarterback that'll make him relevant. So
yeah,
I mean, another guy that's just underrated as far as his athleticism. This dude, like, he's been a freak of nature. He just literally just never produces. I don't understand. Like, he's never lived up to the hype. He's so talented. But anywho, he's a fine backup, I think. I just don't see any super like young, exciting prospects at tight end here. That's the only thing.
Yeah, no upside behind. Well, really, no upside. I mean,
I've thought about this, and we'll kind of talk about it in the draft. Actually, I'll just hold it for the next little segment here. What kind of grade are we giving? I mean, I'm giving it at least a B+ just because Darren Waller's on the team.
Yeah. I'm not thrilled with the lack of depth and the lack of upside. I mean, you always want back end guys for upside in Dynasty, but you know, he would be smart to target Freiermuth or Jordan in like, you know, the 3rd round or whatever, you know, to try to get a young
developmental guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see
That'd
that.
be a perfect fit for this team.
If you got a top 3 tight end in fantasy football, you get an A.
You get the A.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, realistically, I love Waller. Fuck it, I'm giving him an
A. I'll
change my mind.
He's still
Sean,
getting a B+.
Sean, you give me a great argument, Sean.
Imagine like just waking up on a Sunday and you're like, shit, I got to play the matchups on tight end every week. And then realizing that you have a top 3 tight end and you're like, no, I don't.
I haven't done that for 6 years. So maybe I'm just spoiled, but like,
yeah, you don't know how good you have it.
I don't know how good I have it. I really don't. And then last year I had Waller in redraft, so it's been a while since I've had to think about tight end.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. It's an A. So let's so we've done the review for last year and kind of the team this year. Let's talk about some draft implications here. So this is the draft capital he's got, which is his original picks this year. He has no other no other trades or anything like that to throw in. 1.6 is a very interesting spot because it comes down to me, it comes down to running back if there's one available, because clearly we saw his depth issues at running back.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think one of the big three is going to be there for him at 6?
I don't think so. No.
Nope.
I mean, ahead of him is you got Alex, then 2 Justin picks, and then who's at 4? Is it you, Dustin?
Yeah.
And then at 5, it's Alex again.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's take a look at that.
For Alex.
I thought Alex had 1-1 and 1-5, but I could be wrong.
I think it's Alex.
But anyway, I'm looking at it right now. It's Alex. So you got 2 Alex picks and 2 Justin picks. Alex is notorious for not taking running backs.
That gives him a chance, yeah.
That gives him the shot, and then Justin has a really deep receiver room. So I would be surprised if he took 2 running backs. So you're looking at like I'm saying Alex is going to go probably chase 1-1 or one of the big receivers at 1-1. That's just my gut. And then Justin's probably taking one of the 2 running backs. And then maybe like Kyle Pitts, maybe. I mean, it's possible.
You think he'll already be off the board? Yeah.
Where I'm getting at is I think Vince's big 2 are going to be one of the top 3 running backs, because however you want to rank them at this point, I don't think it matters too much.
Yeah.
And then Kyle Pitts, because I don't see him drafting a receiver. I think he would consider BPA to have with Waller.
Yeah. Pitts is such a luxury a pick with Waller, but I mean, if they're eligible in the flex, right? So
yeah, I mean, we got 1 flex spot, and if Pitts is basically a receiver, I mean, it would be pretty sick to have 2 potential top 4 dynasty tight ends.
That is true. Yeah,
it's a thought, but it's hard.
Thought.
It's a thought, but in my mind, he's got to get some sort of running back depth. Like if there's one of the big 3, it's at 6. He's kind of has to do it. And then you pick right after him, so you could throw out your smoke screens and shit now if you want to.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I'm almost afraid to say too much, but I mean, Pitts, yeah, that would be interesting. It's hard to tell, when you don't know these guys' landing spots yet. But I mean, there's so many good receivers in this draft. I think the value is probably going to be at receiver. Because think about it, if Chase is gone, Pitts is gone, and the top three running backs are gone, then he pretty much has to take a receiver.
Yeah, you're pretty much spot on that, because at that point you're like looking at Jalen Waddle or like Devontae Smith or
which would be great value. Yeah,
which is phenomenal value if you can get one of those guys at like in the top 6. That's pretty sick. Like
But yeah, like you said, he doesn't need a receiver. Maybe he should trade one of his receivers for a running back.
Could be a trade down option too, if he wanted.
That's true.
If he packages 1-6 and one of his young receivers and offers that to somebody in the top 5.
That's a great thought, Sean. Moving up.
That's interesting. Yeah.
He also has the quarterback too. He could trade with. What about Justin? He's a quarterback needy team. Takes Ryan Tannehill.
Justin's a very running back needy team at the moment, though. I think he's taken 2 of the 3 running backs with 2 and 3.
So you think he goes two running backs for sure?
Yep.
Interesting. I mean, there's tons of draft implications for Justin Gilchrist at 4.
Maybe
Justin's gonna get a good player.
Maybe I don't like the running back at 4, but I got to make sure my rival doesn't get him at 6.
maybe Dustin goes off
I
the
wouldn't
grid
do that.
and takes like who's a shit receiver this year that I hate. I'm not. You know what? I'm gonna save it for the draft episode. I'm gonna save it because I'm at this point not planning to be in the first round, so I'm gonna spill the beans early this year. I think so. We'll see, but I gotta keep my mouth shut for my 2 second round picks. So we'll see. But yeah, he's got all his picks this year. He definitely needs a running back, and based on last year's draft, I mean, his drafting is significantly improved because the years prior, I wasn't a huge fan of Vince's drafts. I mean, the Ronald Jones draft,
Aguayo.
That's just that's a classic. The old Roberto Aguayo special. Hey, never forget. I took Randy Bullock in the 4th round of our first ever rookie draft. So never forget. That's
The
that's
really-
before I was just being an asshole, but I didn't realize like you could actually like find decent players in the 4th round sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah.
A few years later, Justin Herbert goes at pick 410.
I
Dude,
know that's
so
great.
sick. Lamar Jackson won the 4th round, didn't he?
To me, he sure did.
Wow.
I mean, just think about every year. There's been players available in the 4th round
In
that
the
are
4th,
really
yeah.
quality players. Like James Robinson didn't even get drafted this year. Like there are guys out there. It's just a matter if you can
Mhm.
find them.
Exactly.
For as much as we shit on each other, like we're all pretty well read. Like we.
Yeah.
So we should. It's just for the fun of the league.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the thing is, I think people shit on 3rd and 4th round picks too much because if you put in the time to find some of these guys and they end up in the
Mhm.
right situations, like you can find really good players in these 3rd and 4th rounds and they kind of just get shrugged off like they're nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, they're lottery tickets at the end of the day, probably like
Yeah.
a 30, 40, 50% chance of hitting somewhere in between there. But like if you're doing your
Take your
research, there's a
shot.
shot.
Shoot your shot. Yeah. Chase Claypool. It happens.
I mean, would you rather have like here? I'll give you a perfect example because my team sucks as far as this guy, and he pisses me off. Like I would 100% take a shot on a 4th round pick instead of like Traquan Smith right now. Like Traquan Smith,
Yeah.
like he's young, whatever. He's got upside. Like somebody, I can imagine somebody would probably want like Traquan Smith as far as just like to have on their roster. But I would take a 4th round pick, no questions asked.
Yeah.
It's crazy like how we value some of these just like literal what I call like roster clogs. Like they're just
Yeah.
nothing, and you just have them there, and it's like, man, I could probably trade this guy for a 4th. I probably
What's
should.
hard when you drafted the guy in the 1st or 2nd round, and you're just like, oh, I don't want to drop.
That's a classic. That's a classic. Knowing when to cut bait. Dude, I had Hakeem Butler one year
Yeah.
too long. I fucking hated looking at him. He pissed me off. Oh, I was like, fuck you, Hakeem Butler. He just shit on my face.
I had Laquan Treadwell 2nd overall. I held off too
Laquan.
long.
That's a tough one. And then we also have the N'Keal Harry owner in here too.
Yeah, was that 2nd overall too?
Number 1 overall.
Number 1.
Oh goodness.
It was tough. It was tough.
I liked him too. I remember thinking I would have took him there. So
I
you
mean,
know,
I'm not alone. There are a lot of people that took him 1st overall.
Yeah.
I'm still living with it.
The best part
It
about this
happens.
draft is that every single one of us fuck up royally. That's the best part.
yeah.
Championship game. So
I can't think of one person that hasn't had a giant fuck up in this league. Like everybody's fucked up
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
bad at some point.
hey, Alex
It
did
happens.
everything according to his plan. So technically, he hasn't fucked up.
I'm still trying to figure out what the plan is. I don't know what the plan is. Do you guys?
It's all about the long game.
I heard from sources that he was considering trading DeAndre Swift.
Wow.
Is that part of the plan?
Wow.
I don't fucking know.
I've heard that too.
You have the same sources?
Yeah, I guess so.
Who are your sources?
Fellow league mates.
Yeah, don't burn your sources. Everybody knows that.
Remember the draft we did at your house, Eric, with Scavelli and Alex?
Was that Terry Glenn? Terry Glenn. Is he dead?
Freaking out. He's like, "What did you hear?"
Who was the Cowboys receiver that passed away recently? Was it Miles Austin? I think there was one of them
Oh,
that
I
passed
didn't
away.
know that.
I couldn't remember if it was Miles Austin or like Terry Glenn or something. But yes, I do remember the Terry Glenn draft. And that moment, that and like the Nate Kading issue. I mean, you took my kicker, motherfucker. Like, you can't beat that shit.
Well, yeah, didn't Ian take 2 kickers once?
2 kickers and like before round like 15. Made no sense.
That's good football.
If we're talking strictly during the draft and not football related, I would also put a pissing into the bushes incident in there as well.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about this yet.
Yeah,
we have the man himself who literally pissed away. I mean, that was arguably the greatest pre-draft performance I've ever seen in league history. Would you not, Sean? Would you agree with that?
I mean, didn't you come in super hot when we were in Colorado too?
I don't remember. Were you fucked up in Colorado?
Or was that just when we were in Florida?
I think I was just in Florida. I don't know. I'm not sure what happened in Colorado.
Okay.
I don't think any of us got too wild in Colorado.
Okay, it must have been Florida. Then. I might have been getting them mixed up. Yeah, that was.
Well, the issue was it started with shot roulette, and
Oh, because I wanted to get to like the third pick or something for Kamara, and I was one away, and I just like, okay, one away, but I kept getting the dang shot every time.
And Bryce and Melanie kept fucking up the shot. So like,
Yeah.
so you kept getting them.
Yeah, I took like 3 shots that weren't even the real thing. And
Why did we decide to give that task to somebody that just dabbed?
We really, well, because that was the only person that wasn't involved for whatever reason. Because Bryce was the first one out, and then Melanie was, just running the show back there. It was a tough run, but
that was fun though.
It's a great story.
But somebody pissed all over that situation, and we couldn't ask her. So,
well, there's already been preliminary talks this year about having a golf scramble as one of our draft events and playing it at the golf course that is at Vince's house. And now you have your chance to not only pee in their backyard, but to hit a golf ball into their window. So, I mean, you're making a lot of friends with this neighbor. So, we're talking, but that's a preliminary talk. We're thinking about maybe doing some sort of league event where it's like a golf scramble. We'll try to make like 2 teams or something like that, or like some way to even out the scoring, just so it's like, somewhat fair as far as people who do and don't play golf. So we'll see, or maybe it might even be mini golf. You never know. We've done that before.
That'd be
it's possible.
Cool.
It's been a while since we've done that for an event.
I remember Scott Potter was involved in that one too. Yeah, I think he was playing for one of y'all that weren't here. All right, so yeah, that's kind of the draft capital review. We talked about all the players. Let's before we sign off, let's give our predictions on where Vince finishes in this 2021 season. You could say record or overall.
I say
place.
6th. He had the 6th most points last year, and I mean overall his situation's about the same. He's got all his picks. It's just more the same. I think he's 5-6. Back end playoff team. But he does have a lot of upside, so that could change.
All right, Vince shores up the running back spot some way somehow and finishes 4th.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say 4th or 5th. I think if there's a way he can get one of the big running backs in the draft, then that really helps out his cause. Like if he doesn't, I'm putting him probably like 5 or 6, kind of like Dustin has him. Because if he can't figure out a way to fill that like 3rd running back spot and one of those guys go down, it could be a complete lost season. Like honestly. Yeah,
because he's having to start a running back that shouldn't be started.
Yeah, I mean you're going to be talking about starting like Ronald Jones and just kind of hoping at that point.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason I can't really, like if he had 3 quality running backs, then I'm really feeling good about the team. But there's a lot of ways this team can improve too through trade. So
right,
who knows?
He'd be smart to trade for running back, I think, and I love his upside too, especially a receiver.
That's what this podcast's all about, telling other people how they should run their teams. Did
you guys assume that with how active Vince is in like chat and stuff that like he made more moves? Because like I didn't realize that he doesn't really make a lot of moves.
When you say moves, are you talking about like just free agents, or are you talking about trades?
Like he's got all of his like standard draft picks. Like he only made 1 trade all last year.
Wow. Look at Sean dropping the stats.
Well, I've noticed with Vince, we have trade talks throughout the whole year, but he really values his players a lot higher than I would.
Sure.
Especially
trade talks with everybody. I don't know if that's relevant.
Well,
it's interesting too because if you go back into the league history, and it looks like there's, I don't know how many years it's showing, for maybe 3, but he's he's pretty much right in the middle of the pack as far as total transactions. So like adds and drops and trades together, I guess that would be.
He messes around a lot with like the end of his roster, but he doesn't like do any like giant shakeups, or he hasn't recently.
Yeah.
You want to hear a real shocker just looking at the league history? Andrew Scavelli, our good friend Andrew Scavelli, has made
a lot of moves.
49 transactions. Second to last outside of Justin, who's 45. And I just want to figure out how many points how many years this goes back. It looks like 3 years. So Scavelli's made 45
He just knows he has a good team. He doesn't need it.
He does make a lot of trades, though. Scavelli makes a ton of trades.
Yeah.
Honestly, my bet would have been for Dan as the least amount of transactions.
Dan is 3rd to last. He has 86 in 3 years.
I'm assuming Alex is number 1, right?
Yeah, it's got to be Alex.
Alex Alex and Dustin are the top two with 245 and 224.
Who has
So you guys-
more?
Alex does.
Okay.
I feel like I should be up there. I'm 173.
Yeah.
Sean's 120.
Okay. All right.
It seems like middle of the pack is like 160ish. So, yeah, it seems like it's pretty balanced except for the bottom three are. It's such a like Alex has 200 more moves than Justin. That's insane. And here's another. Oh my God, look at this stat, gentlemen. Sorry, this is a long podcast, but these are great stats. Listen to this.
Them.
This stat is the most messages sent in Sleeper app. This is
Oh.
incredible.
It tracks that.
So, Dan Schwartz, put your number on. What do you think?
I'm looking at it now, but I wish I didn't.
You think he's made one message? He's had 8 total messages in 3 years, which is crazy. Alex Morales has had 796 messages in 3 years. He's almost tripled the next time.
How many of that is about rugs?
Oh my God, that's a great question. I would venture to say that Scavelli's only put 33 messages in the chats in 3 years. I would venture to say there's more discussion about rugs than Scavelli's entire history, for sure.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Like, I'm the commissioner. I feel like I should be the most vocal, and I have 302.
Yeah.
So Alex doubles mine and some.
Yeah, he has more than double than anyone.
And it's funny, his biggest adversary is arguably Vince, and he's at 370. So he's doubled his adversary. That's crazy. Unreal.
That's good.
So that's just a little league history chat here at the end of this podcast. But we'll go ahead and wrap this up. It's 1 hour and 15 minutes, about that time. Dustin Gilchrist, thank you so much for joining, talking about your rival. I don't feel like you were mean enough to him, but that's okay. We'll let it slide this time. Maybe for the draft review, we'll bring you back and see if you have any more harsh words to say. Anything interesting?
That sounds good. I mean, his meme content's pretty good, so I can't be too harsh. It keeps me entertained.
I'm ready for Dustin to drop a meme. I can't remember last time I seen you drop a meme, man. You should get a couple ready for the draft.
I've had a few, and I've just chickened out. I just can't.
Oh, come on,
you guys.
Get that shit in there.
Yeah, I know. All right, I'll make a better effort.
That's me
year.
telling you as the commissioner that the league would be a better place if you sent more memes.
All right, I'll get it done.
When Dan drops a meme, I think all of us are just gonna leave the chat.
Yeah, I mean, if you sent 8 messages in 3 years, if one of them's a meme, I'm gonna fuck. It's gonna get 10 likes.
Didn't he send that Guess Who chat meme?
No, that was Justin, which was fire.
Okay.
Which is total.
That
fire.
was amazing. That was the #1 meme in league history.
He'll hit you with one every once in a while, and it's great. They're always high quality.
That meme maybe 1 or 2, like overall. We should have a meme draft one year. Holy shit. That's what we got to. That'll be content for next offseason. I'll make sure that happens.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a draft of memes. That's great.
That'd be fantastic.
We're gonna end this shit because we're getting off the rails here.
That's what it's all about.
This is what it's all about. All right, everybody logging off. Thanks again, Sean
All right,
O'Shea.
thanks for having me, guys.
Bye, gentlemen.
Appreciate you all.